You're listening to The Positive Professional with me, Tracy Yvonne.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ivy Elite Training. Are you looking for low-cost professional development workshops, topics like emotional intelligence, diversity and inclusion, and more? Then visit www.ivyelitetraining.com. That's www.ivyelitetraining.com. Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 28. Today's topic is going to be about controlling anger. And it can be difficult dealing with many circumstances these days, but it's still important to learn how to control your temper. The main thing to remember here is that you're always in control, and you should never find yourself in a situation that you can't control. By allowing yourself to even think that your temper is out of control, you are just making excuses for yourself. To a certain point, anger is a healthy response. It allows you to vent your frustrations and feelings, but it should not get the better of you. And if you find that you're turning violent when angry, then you have a major problem, and one that may even necessitate anger management counseling. There is one difference that you should be aware of. It's not how you are feeling that is wrong. It is what you do with your feeling that becomes an issue. And if you allow yourself to throw a tantrum and fling your arms around shouting widely, this is obviously not a good sign. And you're liable to hurt other people's feelings as well as possibly causing physical harm. Now, everyone out there has experienced anger at one time. Quite often, getting angry is a negative experience, but that doesn't mean it always is. And just like most things in life, anger isn't all negative or all positive. It occupies the gray area between each extreme. And the negative effects of anger are well known. And some of the main problems with getting angry are it can actually make you sick. Getting angry sets off many of the same effects as stress. And when you're angry, your stress hormone cortisol is activated. And some experts claim that this hormone is linked to all sorts of negative outcomes. A Duke University researcher named Redford Williams has found that anger can even negatively affect your cardiovascular system. It can also ruin your relationships. No one wants to spend time with someone who's angry too often. If you have an anger issue, it will become an issue in your social life. And friends will be less willing to spend time with you. And if your anger problem isn't dealt with, your friends and family could even come to fear you. And anger can also impair your judgment. When you're angry, you may not make good decisions, and a high level of emotion might lead you to make the wrong and potentially dangerous choices. Now, the positive effects of anger aren't quite as apparent. We don't often associate anger with good outcomes. That said, there are a couple of benefits of anger that stand out. The first one is that anger can mobilize you. Sometimes a little bit of anger is all we need to get off our butt and do something. And many important events in history were ignited by anger. On a more maybe personal level, have you ever worked extra hard at something just to prove your doubters wrong? That is anger in action. You're angry that they would even doubt you, so you're motivated to prove them wrong. And anger is a clear expression. When you are angry, then people know it. This is a good thing. It can actually lead to you finding a solution to the problem that angered you in the first place. When you direct your anger towards someone, they know that there's an issue, and quite likely what the issue is. You can work on dealing with it. And there is research showing that hiding anger in relationships can actually be detrimental. If people are making you angry and they don't know it, they'll likely continue the behavior. Now, don't get it twisted. The negative effects of anger probably outweigh the positive one. This doesn't mean that there's no place for anger in our lives. The key is to make sure that your anger isn't negatively affecting you or your social circle. So in the next segment, I'm going to talk about how to use positive thinking to reduce anger. Now, feeling angry is actually a healthy and natural response to certain situations. These events can be ones that are caused by your surroundings, such as missing your bus or a flight. Or they can be caused by events that happened to you at an earlier date, or by events that are happening in your personal life. Your body goes through a slew of changes when you become angry. Your blood level rises, your heart rate increases, as do your hormones and adrenaline levels. Now, demonstrating anger at certain times is appropriate and has been inbred in humans as a survival instinct. When you or your family are threatened, you react out of anger. And who isn't going to defend themselves when necessary? Problems occur in the way that you react to certain situations. So let's say, for example, if it's your child that's hurt, then your reaction is going to be more severe than when arguing with a coworker. Unfortunately, these extremes or responses are not always appropriate. And you may find that you totally lose it with a coworker instead of attempting to just talk things out. When this is happening all the time, then you know that you have an anger management issue and should take steps to rectify it. And one way to do this is by using positive thinking. Try to look at where you can learn from this situation and how to handle it in a better way. If a particular person is making you angry, try to think about them in a more positive light. And yes, I do understand it's more easier said than done. Don't just focus on what it is that's making your anger boil. And look for their good points instead. Maybe this person is great with a new software program, even though they have a bad attitude. Now, have you ever had someone tell you to cool your temper? And most people have at some point in their life. And while these words are easy to say, it's not always easy to learn how to cool that anger down. So let's look at how you can do this and diffuse a situation before it gets out of control. Counting to 10 is a very good technique, and this is very easy for anyone to do, child or adult. It provides you with enough time to think about what you are planning on doing. Also, consider the consequences. Take a few moments to think about what the results of your actions will be. If you strike out at that fellow coworker, you may end up losing your job. And is it worth it? Deep breathing is also a good tip as well. And this really works as it helps to reduce the tension buildup in your body. You may even want to use this technique as your first course of action. And you can also take a few seconds and picture yourself in a different place, somewhere calm and soothing. And this may be standing at the edge of the ocean or walking in a park. You may want to imagine that you're listening to soothing music. And relaxation techniques are extremely helpful when it comes to managing your anger. And you can also use self-massage on areas like your neck and shoulders to help reduce those feelings of anger. Do things like rolling your neck and performing shoulder shrugs. You will feel the tension leaving your body, helping you to calm down. Now, here are some simple questions that you can also ask yourself. How important is this situation to me? Is it worth continuing on this path and risking consequences? Am I ready to ruin my entire day for this? What is my best course of action? And am I about to respond in the correct way? You will now have two choices of action: to make a point and let people know that you're angry and why. Or you can decide that it's time to diffuse the situation by walking away or just ending the conversation. If you decide to stay and fight, then do so in a way that is healthy and productive. Don't allow yourself to get out of control. Explain why you are angry, what caused this, and how the situation can be resolved. If you do this, then both you and the other person would have dealt with a potentially explosive situation in an adult manner.
Thanks for joining me today. I look forward to you tuning in to another episode. Make sure that you've subscribed to this podcast and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Stay safe and be well.